Well, as you were talking, it became clear from the things you said that it isn't always so easy to make the time for those devotional times. Life just sweeps us off our feet sometimes. And it's very important for us to say to you, this is a hard task, and many of us struggle with it. In fact, I don't think there's a family that doesn't have a struggle with it. That's one of the reasons why it's so important for you to try to establish some habits, some patterns that the whole family can look forward to. That's also why it's important for you to approach this from a third perspective. Our legacy points were, first of all, begin with the end in mind, and second of all, be intentional. And one of the ways our third legacy point points out to be intentional is to watch for the teachable moments. Let me tell you a story. My daughter Rebecca was maybe 2 years old perhaps, and we got her all bundled up in her winter clothes. We were going to take a walk in the winter, and we walked down the steps and out to the driveway, and we got as far as the end of the driveway, and that was where Rebecca's walk stopped. And she just dropped down to her knees and started picking up the rocks along the edge of the street, and just looked at the rocks for the longest time, all the different kinds of stones that were there. And she was, and I marveled at the God-given desire to learn in her. And that would be a perfect time to say things like, aren't those rocks beautiful, Becca? Do you know who made those rocks? God made those rocks. Why don't you keep a few of those as a special treasure from God? We can teach our children whenever there's a teachable moment, and we don't have to plan it, it just happens.
What kids need are parents that are paying attention like that. And every child needs attentiveness. When they want your attention, and you know it from 2-year-olds, sometimes it just flat wears you out. But if you can, as a parent, get inside your child's world, then you'll find just the right thing to connect with that helps connect them to God, just like Kendra was talking about during the bath time. And that's kind of a special connection time, and when it's time to rinse your hair, you want to look up to God, and there she does, and it's time to rinse her hair. That's because you're in your child's world. I know that 2-year-olds can be jabbering a lot and demanding a lot of time. But please remember this. Maybe more important than the things that you say to your child will be how well you listen to your child. You get into your child's world by listening to them, and then the teachable moments will happen. But begin the pattern right now. As your child grows up, get in the habit of regularly listening to your child.
I think maybe a good way to say that would be study your child. Get to know who they are by God's design. There's a passage in Scripture which teaches us a beautiful exhortation to us from Proverbs chapter 22:6. It says, "Train a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not turn from it." Now, on the face value, you might think that means to teach a child to live right, to do the right things, to think the right thoughts, the way he should go. And that is one good interpretation of this. But when you look at the original Hebrew, it actually says, train the child according to his bent. And that's an Old English word for personality or giftedness. So what it's saying is, know your child well, and then guide him toward his areas of giftedness, because that's where his life will bear the most fruit for God and bring him the most fulfillment. Isn't that a beautiful picture? Train your child in the way he should go. So be a student of who your child is, get to know them, and then guide them toward their gifts.
And if they don't sit still for devotions because they want to go kick the soccer ball, then make the soccer ball be the devotion time and talk about how God made our bodies strong so we can kick the soccer ball. Isn't that fun? We've got a fun God.
So, legacy point 3, watch for the teachable moments. As you reflect on this past week, was there one teachable moment that you can think back to that you did talk about God with your child? Or was there a moment that if you'd been thinking about it, you could have? Talk about that now. We'll see you in a couple minutes.